Hey, what's up? Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? The intro. Hey, what's up? Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Welcome to the Real Life Relationship Growth Platform. Get together, chat them up, come sit on the couch with me. What's up? It is Thursday. It is Thursday. And we all know what happens on Thursday. We all know what happens on Thursday. We are I'm trying to get some things together, guys. I had my girl Corey in the background, and she's always there to help me out. Want to make sure we get focused and we get on here well. I apologize for the delay. But here we are. Let's get going. Let's get going. Welcome. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Life Relationship Growth Platform. Love you guys. Appreciate you all being here. It is another ending to another week. Tomorrow is Friday. We always look forward to Fridays. Even if you work on the weekends, for some reason, when Friday hits, it's like, it's like that. All right. So, hey, um, let me do a little something real quick because I'm not going to go along with the intro. I'm not going to go along with the intro because we have some new friends, some new faces joining us tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the introduction process so we can get into this conversation. Um, y'all know I usually have the regular crew, the normal crew that comes and joins me. And they will pop in as we go. Some of them will pop in as we go. Miss some of you guys. I know everybody's busy with life. Just know I love you all and I'm always here waiting for y'all to pop in. So, I have to always do this first because this young lady right here, y'all already know. I don't even have to go long with it. My girl Corey B. Hey Corey.
Hello. Hello.
You good? Uh-uh.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. It's
Yes,
been a
thankfully
week.
tomorrow's the
All
last
right.
day with students. It's been a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready
Oh,
though.
okay. School is almost out. Corey is
Mhm.
a teacher, y'all. School is almost over, huh? Yes, nice. All right, Corey, but we got to do it though. We got to do it.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready? All
Hmm.
right, here we go. Ooh, ladies first.
Ladies first. Ladies
Ladies
first.
first. We gonna forever be doing that. Forever be
Hmm.
doing that. And then I see the none other than my boy Kevin. Kevin popped in. We gonna bring Kevin on. Kev,
Hey,
hey, I can't see you.
I'm trying to get this camera to work. I thought it was your side.
All right. So you know what? I tell you what. I'll take you off. I'll take you off screen until you get your camera up, okay? And then I'll pull you back on. Does that
Hmm.
work?
No, it's I'm gonna try to get back on here. I don't know what's happening. Everything else is working. It's just
You know what? It
camera isn't
happens
working.
every week to somebody. Don't even worry about it. Just go back out and come back in.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right. So while Kevin gets his thing together, let me introduce these other two ladies. These other two ladies who are joining me tonight. Y'all know I love friends, I love family, I love hanging out, right? So, each week that I do this, I always like to ask someone to join me. We watch each other and we talk to one another, and sometimes we just have different discussions and we chat about different things on Facebook, on social media, and you just kind of gain a relationship with some people and some people you never met in person, but you kind of gain that relationship. Y'all have some things in common, and it's like, wow. So I decided these two ladies, I wanted to invite them on tonight. Let me put these on and stop acting, because y'all know 53 is fine and fabulous. It's fine and fabulous, but these eyes, man, these eyes. All right. First lady I'm going to bring up, I'm going to introduce to everyone. Of course, she is not a stranger to me. Um, and Corey, you and this young lady, I don't know if you all have officially met either, but y'all we traveled the same roads. We traveled the same roads. Miss Jillian, make sure she's ready here. Miss Jillian, can't hear you, babe.
I heard something.
Yeah. I can hear you, but you're a little bit choppy. Uh-oh. Jillian was working on her Yeah, Jillian was working on her connection earlier. Um Hi, Jillian, you're choppy, babe. You're choppy. Okay. Jillian was working on her connection earlier, you guys, and we had it all together. And now it wants to act up. Jillian, do me a favor. Go out and come back in, sweets.
Oh, okay.
Did we get something here? Okay, we're gonna bring her back in when she comes back up. When she comes back up. Okay, okay. There he is.
Hey,
There.
ladies.
Hey. How are you?
I'm maintaining.
You looking good.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice
Did you
cut.
get? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Who?
The
What?
cut, the
No,
hair.
there's no. I'm letting it grow some. Just letting it grow some. You know.
I see. I
Yeah.
like. Very nice.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm loud. I got my little kid. Sorry. Sorry.
Uh-huh. So everybody knows Kevin.
Is that a
Everybody
bad
knows
thing?
Kevin. Kevin is the man behind the scenes, y'all. Kevin is that brother that has been rocking with me since day one. So anytime I can have Kev on is definitely appreciated. So welcome, Kevin. Glad you made it tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Let's see this. Jillian. Let's see if she has things together. We're gonna try it again. We're gonna try it again. Time I can have Kev on is definitely appreciated. Okay. So
Yay!
okay.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Thank you.
All right. So Jillian, I think you got your volume. There we go. Hey, Jillian. What's
Hi. Hi,
up?
everybody.
Hello.
All
Can you hear me
right.
now?
All right. So Corey, do you know Jillian? Corey, I can't hear you now.
My bad. Your face looks familiar though.
Jillian, does Corey
Yes,
look
maybe it's
familiar?
my hair. I'm blonde now.
Yeah, it could be the hair that's different.
Take off my
Hmm.
glasses.
So
You look so familiar.
yeah, we all
Jillian.
connected. We all
Yes.
connected through the
I know we
SEC
are.
group.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's got to be.
It's gotta be. It's gotta
Gotta
be.
be.
So let me do this. I wanna introduce her properly.
Mhm.
This is Miss Jillian Grant. Jillian Grant is a faith-driven mother. She has 2 adult children, an educator, and an entrepreneur. With a background in nursing, she supports exceptional students and runs a business in health and wellness, offering services like LLC setup and business support. She's also a notary and loan signing agent. Jillian met her friend Donna, woohoo, through a singles ministry, and they've stayed connected over the years ever since. Yes, Jillian will come to Atlanta, and every time she peeks to Atlanta, we got to see each other.
That's
We
right.
got to see each other. What's going on, sis? Jillian has 2 sons, and one I nicknamed Chocolate Drop.
He is still a chocolate drop.
He is so fine. He's so chocolate. He's so fine. Both your boys are handsome. But I saw him. I said,
Yes.
"Look at Chocolate Drop."
Yes.
Tell Chocolate Drop Miss Donna said, "Hey."
Will do. Will do.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
The next young lady we have joining us. Let me get the bio ready. The next young lady we have joining us, I'm gonna be on Miss Stacy.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hey,
Hello.
hey, what's going on, girl?
Girl, it's been a rough week.
It's been a
I'm glad
rough
to do
week.
this. Yeah, I need a
Ooh,
little something
everybody.
different in my life.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, this different
Yeah.
tonight. You get the woosah on the couch with us. You get the woosah on the couch with us.
Yeah.
Stacy Strong. Let me read Miss Stacy's bio. Stacy Strong is a dynamic business professional with over 20 years of experience in the real estate industry. Born into a military family, yay, brat. Stacy grew up as a proud military brat, traveling the world and gaining a deep appreciation for diverse cultures and resilient communities. That's right. There's no way you can't being a brat. The diversity, love it. The daughter of a dedicated service member, she developed a strong foundation built on discipline, adaptability, and integrity. I'm trying to, how you see two words and they just mesh in your head?
It's association. You go off of what you immediately. Mm-hmm.
Yes, what you immediately think. Yeah. So now based in Dallas, Texas, Stacy has built a thriving real estate business rooted in trust and excellence. She was previously married to a highly decorated member of the United States Air Force and became a widower in 2004. A devoted mother, Stacy
Mm.
cherishes her two children, who continue to be her greatest joy and inspiration. Stacy, your children, two boys, two girls, boy and girl.
My son is 33, my daughter's 29. So adult children and no grandchildren yet.
Girl, we right there. Mine is
Yes, but no
32 and
rush.
28.
I'll be doggone.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. So Stacy and I paths crossed a few years ago, and we share experiences as military brats, sparked by an immediate bond. We definitely, Stacy is one of the people that I'm talking about that you connect with, like through social media, and then you find out what your things in common are and how you're related to one another. So we've been kind of developing that internet friendship. That internet friendship. She said, like many who grew up in the armed forces community, they've met, they've never met a stranger, only future friends. Only future friends. Yep. We never meet a stranger being a military brat. And it seems like coming from this singles group that we met at, we never meet a stranger either. Julia and Miss Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And Kevin, of course. Kevin is my internet boo. Kevin is my internet boo.
In my
Kevin and I
internet
met
stable.
when this thing first started. When it first began. When it first
It
began. All
wasn't this
right.
long.
All right. Er, Jimmy, you know what? Jimmy's in the chat, and Jimmy should
Yes,
be
he
on screen,
is
but we see
cutting
Jimmy.
up.
Hey, Jimmy.
He
Hey,
trying to bowl
Jimmy.
tonight. Is that what he's doing? Trying to get
I
himself
don't know,
in?
Jimmy. You bowling tonight? It's Thursday. Jimmy usually bowls.
Mm-hmm.
But Jimmy, you know the link is in the chat. So if you want to jump in here, you're more than welcome anytime. All right, y'all. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna get started with this topic. We're gonna get started with this topic. Our topic tonight is not my type, or are they? Not my type, or are they? So I did a video this morning. I always try to do my little commercial in the morning or the day before. And I said in the video, um, you know how you meet somebody and and there's not any expectation. You're not even necessarily attracted to this person. Um, you just cross paths and you like, they seem like they kind of cool, but they're really not my type. Really not what I would go for. Physically, maybe not my type, or some, but it's something about them. But they're really not your type. So, not my type, or are they? I was having a discussion with my daughter today, and I was telling her what the topic was. And she's studying, she's working on her master's, y'all. So she is constantly in the books. So yeah, she's constantly in the books. But she said, I'm gonna dip in where I can here or there tonight and try to dip in. She was like, but I tried the not my type thing. She was like, and you know, you know how you pick an ugly duckling? These are words. You pick an ugly duckling, and people for some reason have this thing, and they feel like they with you, and they feel like they find it, and they are, and they start acting like they don't have no sense.
Oh,
She said, I tried that
Look,
before.
I'm
She
turning
said, I
around
tried
again.
an ugly one, and he act like he ain't have no sense. Jilly, can anybody relate? What's y'all thoughts on the not my type? But are they? Do y'all feel like do y'all feel like that? Is that real? Is that realistic? Is that realistic to you guys?
I
I'm sorry.
I believe
I'm
it
sorry.
is.
One
Oh, go
second,
ahead.
Corey. I'm sorry. Hello, sir.
Hello.
What's going on?
Nothing much. How are you guys?
Doing
All right.
well.
Wow, your picture is amazing.
Yeah,
Is
it's real
it?
clear.
Yes, the
real clear.
clarity. Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm actually
high
in my
def.
studio this
Okay,
time.
Mr.
Okay.
4K over there. Okay.
Oh, you know
I
what the
know.
difference is? Yeah, the difference is he not at a bowling alley. We so used to seeing the lanes and
What kind of camera you using? Put that in the private chat. I need to know. That's nice.
yeah, Jimmy, it's great seeing you. Glad you made it
Thank
on.
you, sis. I look. I
Yeah.
saw the topic. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely getting in on this one.
Good. Jimmy, we got Stacy. Oh, Jillian. Let's get Jillian back on. Jillian's on the struggle bus tonight, but we're gonna make this
I
work.
know.
There you go.
I was
Hey,
upside
girl.
down.
Okay. All right. There we go. Well, we see everyone's names on here. Everybody's kind of waved to each other.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. So, Corey, you were getting ready to say something. Not my type, or are they? What's your thoughts, Corey?
I met my type years ago, but I was just too immature. It was little, I knew I was a person that wasn't as adventurous. And so I wanted somebody who was really exciting and adventurous. And no, I needed somebody who would relax.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there. Calm yourself. And I didn't, that wasn't what I looked for.
Okay. So you
But I
said you
think
felt
with
like you were
maturity.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, Donna, I have a question though.
Yeah. Come
when
on.
we talk about the subject of types, define that.
Type. I would say definition. I mean, if somebody wants to look up the actual definition, that would be great. But in reference to this, I would say type would be the what you look for, the things that attract you, the things that gain and grab your attention. What type? That's how I would look at it based on this context.
Mm-hmm. So I guess if we really want to give this subject some real substance,
And we do.
we would have to question the validity of our type.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Corey B just hit the nail dead on the head. We could have a type, but where is our maturity level at this time that we're claiming a certain type? Does that make sense?
You ready for the definition?
I remember when I was attending Grambling University, from Louisiana, and back in the day, we used to call them red bones, right? Like all I wanted was a red bone. That was my type. No, I mean, and I'm not talking about the young lady with the long braids. I was just saying it was light-skinned ladies that I was attracted to at that time, right? But of course, as I matured and grew up, I'm thinking to myself, why was I just infatuated with red bones, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because good qualities come in all shapes, shades, and sizes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think sometimes we limit ourselves when we isolate ourselves or confine ourselves to a type,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and usually that type is normally a direct correlation with our level of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Jimmy, you always come in hitting the ground running. And I love it because it opens it up for us to, to spark that conversation. To again, the purpose of us being here is to look at different perspectives and talk about those perspectives, and sometimes come across another perspective that we didn't think about or we did not realize, to kind of open us up to some things. That's the whole purpose of us being here. So you're right, Corey. You hit it. I mean, I'm sorry, Jimmy, you're right. Corey hit it dead on the nail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on the head. You
Yeah.
really did. You
Because
really
think about
did.
it, types is really a preference. It's
Mhm.
what I like at that period of time of my life.
Mhm.
And you know, for most ladies, and I've dealt with this dealing with clients, you know, most ladies like that bad boy type. You know, it's something about him, you know, keeps things interesting about. But try to marry one and see what happens.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
get into a long-term serious relationship with one and see what happens,
And
right?
see what happens.
And
Mhm.
and sometimes our long and like for men, you know, the woman that's normally a guy's type, he normally doesn't marry
Mhm. Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you know there are some other attributes that normally comes with types, you know, and we don't factor that in when we're talking about types. So I learned to lose. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things called attractions, right?
Right.
And that's why I was laughing at your daughter. I was like, did nobody tell her to go pick an ugly dude? I mean,
Right.
so I guess since she figured handsome was her type, she was gonna go the opposite direction. Like, no, no, you still have to, you know, you still have to be somewhat attracted to that person.
Yeah.
There's a physical attraction, and anybody that tries to downplay that is being foolish. So,
Yeah.
but that physical attraction should not outweigh the things that really matter.
That really
You know, the
matters.
mental, the emotional, you know, the financial, the social. Those things are the things that are gonna make or break a relationship. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Miss Stacy, what you think? What are your thoughts?
So I agree with the direction that Jimmy was going in. I mean, defining your type, I mean, it can mean a lot of things to different people, right? When you think about it, growing up, I thought I had a type too until I married my first husband because I was all about, he was liking light skin and I was liking the dark skinned brothers when I was growing up. But
Yeah.
my husband was total opposite of that. He was a light complected person. We were married for 10 years
Mhm.
before he passed away. So he was totally opposite. He was a good country boy. I was used to the bad boys. That's what I was chasing. Thinking I was
Mhm.
grown at 16, you know, didn't know no better.
Right.
But realized that had he not passed away, it'd have been, oh goodness, 30 some years now
Mhm.
that we've
Mhm.
still been together because he was my
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to, I guess, open your mind to what this person brings to the table or who this person is, what their values are, right? And do they align with your values?
Mhm.
Because forcing yourself to misalign, your spirit to misalign with someone will actually cost you. You have to sacrifice. And
Mhm.
should you have to sacrifice what your values are and your morals are, you shouldn't.
That's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It has to align. There has to be some alignment. What about you, Jillian? What do you think?
I don't know if I found my type yet. I got 2 children now.
Okay.
As Corey and Jimmy and Stacey had said, um, I look for, I was looking for someone who was more like me, like bubbly, outgoing, and adventurous. And I didn't find that. They weren't that. So the relationship dissolved. You know, now I'm still looking for that type.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Still looking for that
All
type.
right. All right, Mr. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, I think sometimes when we identify what we really like, and people, they might like that person, he or she, and they're like, wow, they do this well, they talk well, the finances together, but they have like this hope destination
Hmm.
for it to be somebody else.
Hmm.
So all the stuff they identify that they're really attracted to, like, that person is right in front of them, but they want it from somebody else because they're so transfixed. Well, I just hope this. Why can't this person be this way? Why can't he or she be like this?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of identifying what you need and what you want right in front of you, because we're so hooked and have this tunnel vision stuck on this one person, saying, yeah, I just hope this person changes. It's like, okay, I want this person to change, and I'm going to stay prayed up. God is going to deliver her or him. And no, God is giving you right what you asked for, but you're saying, hey, God, but I don't want that. I want it in this person. But God has said, hey, this is what you have, this is what you need, and I've given it to you. And so what happens, we tend to, what is that, friend zone? Well, if anybody see my post on Facebook a lot, I'll put up the thing with the backboard without the rim.
Mm-hmm.
For the brothers, shoot your shot, but you ain't never going to score the basket because it ain't there. And guys be doing the same thing, but like, man, they go talk to a woman that they've known all their life, and yeah, I want this from it, and she's doing everything. Oh, cook a meal, that open ear for you when things are not bad, going bad for you, and it's like, bro, you can't see that right there. You've been asking God all your life about, hey, send me a good woman. Men do the same. Hey, or girls do the same thing. Women, excuse me, do say, send me a good man. Where's my Boaz? Boaz don't left because you over there dealing with the real epitome of
the jackass.
Yes, there you go. Boaz don't left because you don't got hooked up with that jackass over there. You don't even recognize your Boaz. So I think we have to come to terms like, you know what? Let me look at this person, this man, this woman that's in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to ring the bell early because we always do that. That trauma, being addicted to that trauma from our past relationship, has us stuck in this, this holding pattern, saying, "Yeah, I'm still hoping. I'm still hoping."
Wow.
You see many marriages and relationships where people stay in very dysfunctional relationships because they're like, "Oh, this person, they're going to change. They're going to change." No, they're not. Okay. So you ask for that deliverance, you get that deliverance, but you misidentify it because you ain't letting go of the very thing that's holding you back. So I think, once we cut loose of the things that we really, what we thought that we want, and deal with is right there in our present, we can better appreciate that person that's before us, and we can really identify the things that we really need. So that thing where, is he or she really for me? Yeah, they probably are. If you just allow yourself to see it for what it is. So
you used the term and you said it twice. I wrote it down the first time you said it, and you said it again. Need. So many times people look for what they want. Visually, the aesthetics of a person. Oh, he fine, he tall, he this, he that, she's this, she banging, she this, she that.
yeah, but the crazy thing about that, the aesthetics and all that, once you really dive into a person, I mean, literally dive into a person, the aesthetics, they become very attractive. Okay. Yeah. Now, people say, okay, like for a woman that's overweight or a guy that's overweight. Well, guess what? We always can work on that. If that person needs to come to, yeah, but you don't really concentrate on, damn, she's overweight and all that, because you really tapped into who they really are. So they become very beautiful and very attractive to you. Okay. That's why you look throughout, I guess if you want to use celebrities, you'd be like, why is that woman with him?
That guy.
Or why is that guy with the, because they're past all that. because
Yeah.
those aesthetics have fell off because they have actually entered into seeing the beauty of that person beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And once you get there, it's up for you not to mess it up, whether you the male or the female. God is giving you
Yeah.
what you want. I know Jimmy and a lot of you guys, you're very spiritual. I have my issues, but I truly believe God has sanctioned men and women to be together, and that it's our divine purpose to be with each other. We just
I
got to
agree.
get out the way and allow what we were designed to do take over and,
Yeah.
and do that. So that's my spiel. I'm sorry. I sort
Yeah.
of went
No,
over
you good. You good. You good. Claudette said, she said two things. And the first thing we'll put up, she said, if Lord,
It's cool. I got it. If I
thank
went
you.
with just my type, I wouldn't be happy and married for 26 years.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a
Mhm.
person that identified that her type may not have been healthy.
Or, yep, your
Right.
type is not always your need.
Right.
Most definitely.
Right.
Most
Right.
definitely.
Right.
Yep.
And again, I think, unfortunately, a lot of us don't know the blessing of balance. We're either going to be one extreme or the other. It's hard for us to, and I think Kevin articulated it well by, what do you need? Um don't get me wrong. This was literally my prayer to God. God, listen, I'm shallow. I need a woman I'm attracted to. I was honest. I was like, I want a woman I'm attracted to. However, I need her to have these attributes, right? Because trust me, I've dated women that were beautiful, but their attitudes were horrible, and physically they started to look ugly to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never claimed to be a Denzel Washington or in looks or whoever it is that women think is super attractive, right?
What?
But I always knew I had a positive attitude and a positive outlook on life. And guess what? People found me attractive, right? So I think that when we carry ourselves in a way that is respectable, I think if both men and women, if we carry ourselves with some level of confidence, we're grounded in reality. You know what I mean? Some people are delusional and they call it confidence. No, you're delusional. But if we are confident, but yet grounded in reality, we become attractive to people that we never thought we would have attracted.
Right.
And I think understanding what is most, Donna, you said it earlier. What are your values? See, that's a question that a lot of people, if we were just being 100% honest, do not have the answer to.
Do not.
They don't know what their values are because their values are like the wind. Literally.
Yep.
I don't believe you till you show me what your values are.
Yep.
Don't talk to me. Let me see you live it out.
Let me see.
And so when we truly have values and we live by those values and those principles, what happens is, and women, I tell, like my sisters, my cousins, my daughters, I tell them, I say, girls, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but here's the deal. Every man, whether he's good, bad, or indifferent, we know a chick when she lying. Oh, I ain't never done that before. Okay. We know your values are wishy-washy. You just never did it with somebody you're not attracted to.
Mercy. Okay. Yeah.
That's just like a guy. You know what I'm saying? He man, I was drunk. Boy, you wasn't drunk. You were sober. If you can tell me what you did, you wasn't drunk.
You weren't drunk.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you don't have standards that you literally live by, you will do anything under the right set of circumstances. If you don't think anybody know you did it, you'll pull it off.
You're gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's human nature. So that's why it's dangerous for us to always have a type and not have any real values that type can be connected to. That's why you see odd looking people together, and you're like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to believe that maybe they match. Maybe they're compatible. You know what I'm saying? They don't look physically compatible, because that's what most of us are inundated with is how we look physically.
Right.
You know, and so we're not thinking about how that person thinks, how that person, you know, navigates their emotions, how that person deals with the things that really should matter. You know, if you are a person that says you are, let's say, for instance, you're a Christian. I mean, how you gonna try to be serious with somebody that's not?
Yeah.
At some point, those two things are going to intersect.
Right.
You know, and so you can finagle all that stuff for a little bit, but at some point, you know, what, as old folks say, the rubber's gonna meet the road.
Yeah, because it matters. Because it matters.
All
At
that
the
stuff
end of the day, it's going to matter. It matters at the end of at the end of the day. What's on the surface will fade out. The more you walk on it, the more you move around on it, it's going to get thinner, and then you're going to see actually what's underneath. So I love that we're talking about that need and having that balance and that value system, because without having that core for yourself, you know, and you all are mentioning and saying it, you're going to deal with just about anything just because it looks a certain way. Yeah. Or makes you feel a certain way when it, you know, when it moves. And you know, people always say, you know, the opposites attract. I used, in my younger years, I didn't believe that. You know, I felt like, and some of us have said it, he needed to like the things I liked. He needed to kind of move like I moved. He needed, you know, value systems had to be in place. For us, you know, those value and those morals, those are the things. But if you didn't look a certain way, oh no. So we have this list that we're looking for and we're putting together, and we want all these things to be a part of it. But reality is, something is not going to be in that list. There are things in that list that are not going to either matter after a certain period of time,
or really not valuing on the front side. There, that wasn't important,
right?
You know,
right.
But here's the thing: when we say opposites, we tend to make it sound as if they're night and day, right? And that's only because we're looking at the physical. You know, but in the Asian community, they have something called yin and yang, right? And technically speaking, yin and yang is opposite energies, but put together, it gives balance. Yeah. Right. So, I can, if I'm high strung, I don't need a high strung woman. That's going to be problematic. You know what I mean? Right. I need somebody that's opposite of me in that area, so there can be balance. Right. If you are a relatively calm person, you better not go get with no hot-headed individual. Yeah. That person's gonna make you nervous. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna put you in situations emotionally that you don't want to be in. You know what I mean? Yep. So we have to have a balance, but not total polar opposites. Because that's when people think of opposites attract, that's why most women, I believe personally, like the bad boy idea. Like, but you don't really like the bad boy. You like the excitement. But the moment he puts you in a situation that you can't control, yeah. Oh no, I gotta leave this fool alone. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, he showed you he was that the whole time. That's why he's a bad boy. You know what I mean? Like, what you thought he was gonna be a play bad boy? You know? No, he's gonna do what bad boys do, and like bad girls. Like, for some reason, there's some guys that love, you know, that girl that has that edge to her. You know, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I know what comes with that edge. You know,
yeah, be on the next episode of Snap.
Right.
Can I say something about that?
Yes, ma'am. Corey B.
Now, the last time we had a discussion about this, we I think we were talking about men, something with the men. I don't remember. But I called it complimentary. And tonight I looked up just to be sure that what I was thinking is what it was. So what I typed in was, what does complimentary mean when discussing personalities? And here's what I came up with.
Okay.
When discussing personalities, complementary means that the characteristics of two people work well together to create a balanced whole, often by each person's strengths filling in the other's weaknesses.
Yin and yang. Yes. That's what yin and yang is.
Yeah.
Right. But that they're not polar opposites.
Absolutely not.
Because polar
What's
opposites
the
don't mix.
complementary?
They're going to butt heads. But complementary are, well, you know, in some areas of relationships, they say, are you all compatible? Compatible doesn't mean that you're exactly alike. You know what I'm saying? But it does mean that you're not going to be at odds when you come together. You two can mesh. You know, that's what compatible and, you know, and yeah. So I think that's powerful, and I think that's important. You know,
yeah, because I was going to say, I think people kind of get confused that, you know, they can be confused when you have that thought, when you have that person that's like, I don't want to argue, I don't want to fuss, I don't want to fight. And it's not necessarily that you're coming to always argue, but two people with two different mindsets, two different perspectives can still come together and still mesh and still be able to communicate with one another and be able to make sense of a situation.
Yeah, I'm always leery of a person that's always talking about, I don't want to argue.
Yeah, right.
You are an individual that don't know how to disagree.
Right.
And because I don't agree with you, you claim it's an argument.
Exactly. Thank you.
No, it was a discussion that we just didn't have the same viewpoint, and now you feel some type of way that I don't agree with you, and now you're labeling it as an argument. It was never an argument. I just don't agree with you. Here's my viewpoint. That's yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Stacey, how do you feel? How do you think your now that we're talking your type or the way you looked at a gentleman changed from, and I know, you know, and I'm sorry, you know, you lost your husband. I know that wasn't anything that you expected. But now that you are, because you said you had remarried, correct?
Correct. I did remarry.
Okay. So let me ask you, were they two different? Were they different?
Very different. Very different. Yes.
Okay.
He wasn't my type either. He was what I kind of, I guess, shied away from, or I guess had a perspective of what I did not want in my life. But as I got to know his personality, I grew to like him more, right? But then after we got married, we dated for about a year, and then we got married because I wasn't going to do the whole shack up what you think, because I had two kids that were younger, right? Didn't believe in that. But I realized that I probably shouldn't have rushed that, if that makes sense, because as time went on, I realized that he wasn't what I needed, not only for myself, but for my kids either. We had different views on a lot of things that we talked about initially that, of course, we seemed to align. However, as time went on, his views changed and my views changed. But we toughed it out for a number of years. And then one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. This is not me. This was never meant to be. I guess being loyal to a fault, right? Thinking things are going to change, that person's going to change, or you're going to change and realize that maybe you should come to their side, the dark side of things, and agree with what they always say, but you realize that's not the right thing to do. And so I realized that I had to save myself. And the relationship that I had with my kids, because my kids were being affected. So I decided to walk away. And I am in a peaceful place now. And I actually, fast forward, I've met people along the way. I've dated, and I think as of most recently, being an older woman, I'll say that more seasoned, right? It's most of the younger guys that are after me wanting to date now, and I'm realizing that there's things that, like you said, on our list, that we all have a list of things we want and don't want to do. But I'm realizing that at the age I am right now, I just want to enjoy my golden years. So I don't want to necessarily be tied down to having to have parental duties on the weekends. with co-parenting, right? That's not something that I want to sign up for. I mean, my children are adults, so that's something, it's not a deal breaker, but it's not something that I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up for that. I'm ready for this, right? No. I just think that you have to assess the person as a whole and really look at your list, if you will. And sometimes, like Jimmy shared, those things don't even really matter. And at the end of the day, that doesn't even matter. It wasn't even relevant to begin with. Maybe I made a big deal out of it. And so I'm at a place now where I'm not in a rush to get into anything with anyone. I'm not looking to have a title with anyone. I don't want to give no one else a title. I'm focused on just working and getting to know myself more and going through my healing journey, as people call it, or going through therapy, to fix things with myself first before I can be something for someone else as a whole.
Okay. I can understand that. Miss Jillian, you said you don't even think you found your type. Is that what you were saying earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
I just need some, as she said, Stacy said, I have 2 adult children, even though one is 19, is an adult. I'm, you can't pay for my peace. You can't pay for it. And I don't want any drama. I don't want anybody coming with young children. I just want to be free, as she said, enjoy my golden years and, just be me. I don't want any, I never had drama. I don't want to deal with it in my golden age. And it is what it is.
It's not what you're looking for.
Person finds me, then woohoo! My deal breaker is also I don't want anybody who don't have children. You have to have at least one so you could understand a mother's, what a mother goes through with their child or children.
What that looks like.
Yeah, what it looks like. I don't want you to come in and like, oh, I don't have any children and I don't want any yada yada yada. No, I don't want none of that.
Okay.
You have to have 1 or 2 because I have 2, so I have to accept 2.
Yeah.
But not a whole bag of children. Oh no, not going down that road. Never been, and I won't go there.
You want them to be able to relate. You're saying you want
Yes.
them to be able to relate to the things that you. Okay.
How old are your children?
My son is 24, and my other son is 19.
Okay, so they're adults.
Yes.
So the 19-year-old still lives with you?
Both of them live with me. The 19-year-old actually is going to Atlanta at the end of the month. So Donna, you'll be seeing me a lot more.
Okay.
He'll be going to Kennesaw State. So,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
FIU, he's a civil engineer. So, they have their head on their bodies. Yeah. Yeah. So
Wonderful.
It's mama's time now.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Jimmy, what you smiling for?
Hey, I'm waiting on the empty nest too. Hey.
Well, Donna, I would say, Donna, getting back to what Jimmy said,
yeah.
And I think the importance is, when we start looking for the aspect, is, that my type, is that value system, that those values, because truly that's what, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, that's what makes someone attractive or not attractive. I mean, that honesty, being able to communicate, and it's crazy coming from someone like me that, I'm not into the church heavy. I have my issues. I've talked to many people privately, offline, about what those issues are. But I like, a woman that is spiritual. Because for me, a woman that is spiritual, she has a way to calm a raging spirit, and, whether that raging spirit is anger, sadness, whatever, she has a way of calming that, and even, if you don't believe, has a way to bring you back in and say, you know what, maybe I need to sit alone and take some time and do this prayer. You know, I'm not an atheist by any means. Okay, it's just I just have some structural issues. Okay, that I have within inside the church body. However, that value system. I mean, when you talk to someone, okay, and let's say you're a chill person. You like to chill and relax. Okay, this person likes to drink a lot or smoke a lot. And you're like, well, no, health is wealth to me. You know what I mean? So that's a value system. Now, for me, I can't even get past that. So, I couldn't even, be in a relationship long term, short term, because that's a big issue out the bat, especially someone, okay, if you ever had someone in your family, pass away from cancer, alcoholism, or, diabetes, heart attack, you're very keen to those things. And as you get older, I've noticed, at least on my part, your tolerance level really starts to wane. I mean, you really bite your tongue a lot more than you use. I mean, like you really clamp it down, like to the point you might have to go to urgent care because you don't bit your tongue because you just don't have it. So when you, especially being single as you're older, you look for those key words and those key behavior patterns right off the bat. The person is displaying that, whether that's female or male, you sort of walk away. It becomes very attractive to you because that man, he could be looking like Vin Diesel, Tay Diggs and all that. And he open up his mouth and you like,
something else come out.
Yeah, same thing with guys. I mean, she can be like, just drop dead gorgeous. Like, man, the moment she starts to talk and you ask her some pertinent questions, about things that really matter in life, it's like, oh my God. You're like, that instant beauty becomes like, okay, you can literally look past it like, okay, I'm not attracted to that. And where your fellas, your homeboys or your homegirls be like, girl, what's wrong with you? Boy, what's wrong? Man, you be like, nah, she just ain't that for me. Because that value isn't there. So we have to get back to identifying that person. Like I said, my opening statement is right there. This woman's treating you right. She's hitting everything that you ever wanted. Okay. She could be bone rail skinny, and she could be a little overweight. What are you really looking at? Are you looking at the surface of that woman? Or are you looking at the depthness, that the deepness of that person? And I think, that's what we need to get back to. I mean, look at our parents, and beyond that.
Yeah.
How are they able to maintain those Jet Magazine type marriages? Okay, because we know it wasn't always rosy, but they had to see something deeper than the surface. Because we all joke around. We're like, Mom, how did you actually marry him? My dad or Dad, what were you thinking? But it's like
it was no different. It's no different from how we think now, Kevin.
Right. So
a lot of those women married out of necessity. Mm-hmm. I got X amount of kids and I don't have this, so they married out of necessity. But the difference between then and now, they actually were committed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Commitment is not a word today.
Not a word today.
No. Everything is exchangeable in today's society. So all we need to do is have one argument. And now all of a sudden, and we talked about this before, Corey, 85% of marriages are initiated by women. And you would think it would be because of cheating or physical abuse or emotional abuse.
Divorce.
But it's not.
85% of divorce.
Yeah, divorces. Yeah, divorce. Right. I'm sorry, divorce are initiated by women. But you would think it would be for something legit. But actually, the majority, that 85%, the majority of those divorces were because they were bored.
That's crazy. I mean, I'm not saying it to you, but that's crazy.
When you think about it. Yeah. When you think about it, it really is. But let's back up a little bit. Because Kevin, you said a few key words. And it took me back. I was thinking about the question I have is where does that come from for us? When we talk about our type and what we're looking at, and you mentioned our parents and how things seem like that. So how do we think about when we think about because I want to literally stop saying our type at this point.
Yeah. For me personally, I think it comes from a fake idea of what love is or what love should look like, or it also comes from a selfish place of what I want, what I think it it is. And Donna, we talked about this before. I have been working with couples for 21 years, right? I could ask, and I kid you guys not, in 21 years of doing this, I have probably had 2 people out of 21 years of working with couples, when I asked this question, that said yes. I could ask a guy, did your dad teach you how to be a husband? And if I ask a woman, did your mother teach you how to be a wife? Everybody's answer is no.
And that's exactly where I was going. I appreciate that, Jimmy. I appreciate you bringing it that direction, because it starts somewhere. It starts somewhere. And if we look at where it starts, and when we start this my type thing and what I want, and a lot of times we fashion who we date and who we're attracted to by the people that we see. Our example, our parents. A girl looks for her daddy. A boy looks. Say again.
Used to.
Right, used to.
But modern day women don't value their dads. Just like modern day men don't value their mothers.
Don't value their mothers.
And guys, I know most of you all are looking at me like side-eyed, because think about this. Think about this.
Yeah, I caught it.
Think about this. When you look at the state of society now, is society high on relationships, or is it kind of right? Why do you think it's low on relationships? Because most of the people that's talking about relationships did not come from a 2-parent home. They came from a single parent home. And what's so funny is, and we're going to bring this full circle, I literally just saw, and I had seen it before, but it popped back up on my timeline. A young lady was on a panel with 2 guys, and some kind of way the guy said he wouldn't date a single mother, right? And she was offended. Right. And so she said, I'm offended that you came from a single mother and you don't respect single mothers. He said, ma'am, just because I came from one don't mean she was a good one. And when you think about that, people used to respect their parents because their parents behaved respectfully.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a girl back in the day would look for a man that had the attributes of her father.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll just use my wife for an example. I met my wife. By the time she and I got married, her dad, maybe 2 years, I may have had 2.5 years with him before he passed. Right. I knew he did some carpentry work or whatever. So one time I built a table for my wife, and which when I was doing this, I was just doing it because, I was like, oh, she said she wanted a dining room table. And I looked it up, and the type she wanted, because she wanted that picnic style dining room table.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, I'm not paying no $1,500 for this table. I'll make that.
I'll
build that. That's what I said. Right.
Yeah.
So I built the table, and you would have thought I gave Rachel $1 million. And because I expected her in a sense to be grateful, but I did not expect that reaction.
Yeah.
And I said, well, babe, why? I'm like, dog, I mean, I felt I did a good job on it, but I did that well of a job. And I said, well, babe, what was that? She was like, babe, she said, this is my first dining room table that somebody didn't give me. She said, 2, my husband built it by hand. That reminds me of my dad. He used to build everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, then let me go make a chair then. So, that made me feel good. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lesson right there. There's a lesson right there.
That made me feel good, right?
There is a lesson.
And I explained to Rachel, I said, quiet as it's kept, my mother was, or is rather, one of the most loving people you'll ever know. And one of the things that I loved about my mother was her desire to ensure that her children were taken care of. You know, cooking every single day. It didn't matter how tired she was. She said, I have a family to take care of. So she would cook, right? And I told Rachel, I said, that reminds me of my mother, and that's attractive to me.
Yeah.
And I told my wife that. I said, that's attractive to me. And so because we respected our parents, we could see value in the women and the men that, you know, but nowadays, imagine this. You know, you're a young man raised by a single mom, and all you see is multiple dudes. You're gonna have a different viewpoint of women. Imagine you're a young girl and the relationship you see with your mom and dad is volatile. You're gonna have a different viewpoint of men.
A different view.
You see what I'm saying? Your viewpoint is not going to be the same. You never saw them as one unit. You just saw baby daddy. You see what I'm saying? That's the only relationship that these kids are seeing now. So the young adults that we're seeing now that's on social media talking about relationships, they did not grow up in two-parent homes. Right. So their view of relationships is skewed. So Hollywood, Friends, all identifying or giving them the idea of what relationships should be like.
Listen, I have this little series that I started, and it again, like all these things, it just happened. It just came. I don't know where it came from, and I had to create a TikTok page separately for it, and those videos are just there. And I always start out by saying, "Hey, can I tell y'all something?" And yesterday, I did a TikTok. It just popped in my brain, and I was like, I need to do this. I need to do this. And it paraphrasing, it talks about following the actors on social media. And I'm like, these are actors. Like, until you know and can see a person's value system and who they are when the cameras are turned off
and how they really live
live, stop following the social media actors. Like people are acting and people are saying things. And I saw a story, a husband and wife, they were middle-aged. They were about like in 45, they were, close to 50. And people were saying that they were the perfect couple. Like they got married late in life and it was great, and he loved her. People would say he loves his wife. He killed this woman. I'm sorry, he unalived this woman. And when they looked deep into it, they found out, and they were social media. They had a social media presence. They worked in a ministry at their church together. They deal with couples, and this man was so abusive. And like I said, when the cameras stop rolling, when the lights go off, stop fashioning yourself and thinking that reality is what these people are saying. Unless you can see some proof of it. And I have to say, because I'm one of the people, like this platform right here. We talk about life. We talk about in Jimmy's platform and others. We talk about these things in real life, real time, how things happen. But you have to be careful. You can't listen to everybody.
Well, I would say this, Donna. It's not. You have to learn how to separate the message from the person.
Yes.
So if you're telling the truth, if what's coming out of your mouth is principally based, I can take that and use it.
There you go.
But I'm not going to say you are a faultless person because you're human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have learned to be less disappointed when I don't put unreasonable expectations.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I recognize that you're human, I'll say, you know what? I'll never forget. There was a pastor that had a scandal, right? And this particular pastor and I, we were friends. We're friends. And when this thing came out, the first thing that person said was, "It's not true." Now, here's the deal. You're my friend. whether it is or not is gonna not change the fact that we're friends.
We're friends. Yeah.
Right. Now, as time unfolded, of course, truth eventually comes out. And I told that individual, I said, I didn't care if it was true or not. I wasn't going to abandon you as a friend. If I had found out that it was true, we would have had, a friend conversation.
Right.
That's what we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But what I'm saying was the value that he gave me on the spiritual side didn't dissipate because that scandal came up.
Because that came up.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that individual spoke the truth from a spiritual perspective. And guys, it's simple as this. You name, I guarantee you, everybody on this panel has dated or been married, and you and your spouse had an argument. If somebody from the outside had seen that argument, what would they describe you two as?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
What would they? And it's just it takes a fraction of a second to make a bad decision.
Right.
A fraction of a second. So that's why it's the only time that you're going to see me pull away from somebody if they have a certain pattern of behavior.
There you go.
Like this is a common thread with you.
There you go.
I got to pull back. All of us are capable of making a mistake. A mistake is something that is not normally contributed to your behavior or your thought process, right? It's not a mistake when it's something you do all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's just who you are.
Yeah, and that accountability. Yeah. I mean, you I think you spoke about it a little earlier, Jimmy. When you were going back to that whole mistake thing and being perfect, it's like for me, I've thrown away that whole list of what I thought I liked.
Because it's a joke.
I threw that away because I just never knew, until I really dove into that person and heard them, listened. Okay. And that listening wasn't just their words, because most of the time they had action, some type of action that followed some of those words. So I was able to see it, and it's like, well, damn. Oh, okay.
That's what we should be doing, right?
Right. So I was like, I said, okay, I think everyone still has some type of reasonable expectations, meaning, look, I don't like to be lied to. I don't think no one on this panel wants to be lied to.
Don't want to be cheated on.
Cheated on, used financially.
Right.
I mean, I think those are just basic, things that we expect. So I have, a little expectation, but that whole listing, is she my type? Well, through me talking to you, you will become my type, okay? Because I'll get to see you naked, not naked in a physical sense, but
vulnerable,
emotionally and in your value system. There's no crowd around and all that. I've scaled my whole thing back. I think, I crashed and burned before I even started. Because it's like, I date a woman. I'm gonna find the most fanciest, expensive restaurant. I'm trying to impress and all that. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm balling out. I'm like,
maintain.
Okay. And then I end up like, my money's gone.
Right.
Heart is broke. Like, the pockets out there, got.
And she looking at you crazy because she was
but I never got to know that person.
And she never got a chance to know you either.
Right.
So
because you was trying to buy her.
It is.
There you go.
You were trying to buy her.
Let me scale back. So now it sounds foreign because they're like, oh, where are you going to take me on the first date? Oh, well, we're going to go for a walk. We go to the park. A park? I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, yeah, I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Because a woman doesn't want to sit there and lay in a bed with a man, and say, oh, I'm gonna label this man, be physical. And like, okay, I don't know you, not no older woman. No, she want to know. Look,
not a mature woman.
Yeah, I'm older now. I want to be in a relationship, so I want to know we're gonna have some staying power. So it's the same thing with a man. No, stop leading with your pockets. Stop leading with your pockets. Look, understand this, baby. We'll go get us a little latte or something. And we'll go for a walk. We'll talk. Let's see what you really have to offer in the sense of who you are without all this other stuff and not your friends around. Because Jimmy, you mentioned it earlier, these friends, these TV personalities, all this gets in space. And we start, girl, what did he say? What did he do? No, I got rid of all that because I'm like, nah, I listen to you and I'm going to end up like you. Cause most of the time, the people that give you all that advice,
single.
There you go. And it's like single and jilted. They ain't single because something happened. They're single, mad, and you know what? You ain't happy. I mean, if I'm not happy, you ain't gonna be happy. No, you stay over there with that negativity. Look, I'm gonna find out who this woman is on my own, and I'm not gonna be influenced by someone else's opinion or have that outside noise. So yeah, I threw that whole list away, and it's like, look, let me deal with you. Let me find out about you. Slow it down. Take my time, because when you're rushing, you can't hear nothing. You really can't. You run into that brick wall and you just keep running into it like, oh, that didn't hurt. Let me try it again. No.
One of the things I think is important, especially when we're talking about this topic, not my type, or are they? Again, we got to go back to the question of what is your type, and is your type something of value?
Yeah.
Are you we got to be honest with what we're really looking for in relationships.
Yep.
Right. And so there was a period in my life, primarily when my daughter's mom and I got divorced. I was like, I am never getting married again. That was, and I meant it in my soul. I was like, I'm never getting married again. Right. And I would meet people and they would be talking. I'm like, no, we're not. No. Well, what are you looking for? Nothing. like I wasn't. I was like, man, listen, I don't want to have anything to do with it, because I know, just let a little bit of time happen. I'm gonna see you for who you really are.
Right? Yeah.
And so I think when we are honest about what we really want, and if what we want is actually beneficial for a healthy relationship, or is this just beneficial for what I want? Because most of us are selfish, and we're thinking selfishly, and we're looking to get out of people what we want out of them.
We want. That's right.
And we're gonna give you something in return, just to say I gave you something, but it's really to get what I want out of you. You know what I'm saying? And so you gotta know that mentality is going to be rewarded. You will reap what you sow.
Yeah.
When you start thinking about it's just me, it's me. It's me. Okay, well,
Yep.
And guess what? You're gonna meet somebody that's saying it's him, and he gonna be thinking just like you thinking, but y'all not gonna tell the truth. He gonna be getting from you what he want, and you gonna be getting from him, and it's gonna be exchange. And the moment one of you all fail to give the other person what they want, then it's going to be a dismissal. It's going to be a dismissal. That's how it works. Because neither one of you were serious about a relationship. You just wanted companionship. And there's a difference. Because you got to know, with companionship, Netflix and chill, those are companionships.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what that is. But if you want a relationship, you have to be honest about what your type is. What is my type? What does that really mean? What am I really saying? You know what I'm saying? And stop asking for something you don't even possess. They got to meet all these criteria, and I don't even have that.
You're right.
Right. Why would that person want you?
Are you even your own type?
Because Donna, I'm gonna tell you now, at 56 years old, if my wife was to pass, and I move on with life, and I meet a young woman or whatever, because I can't even fathom myself dating a younger woman, because we're light years apart.
Yeah.
So it would have to be someone in my age group and on my mental level.
Right.
I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Trust me. I mean, it's like
I'm moving I'm telling you now, I'm moving to the country, and I'll just spend all my time working my land.
It's rough out there being
I'll
single.
distract myself.
Trust me, bro.
I will.
At this age, it's rough. There's a lot of sand balls rolling through here, bro. It's like Desert Storm, bro.
Well, honestly, man,
Sand
sometimes
balls.
I think the deal is when we can learn how to be alone and really listen to me when I say this, though. Being alone and not being lonely, but while I'm by myself, I'm actually getting the negative things about me fixed.
Yeah.
Right. And let me just say this too. You may be a single man or woman and you may go to therapy. That's just step number one. Because here's the truth about therapy. Therapy is supposed to help you develop a larger base of capacity. See, people think that staying comfortable is growth. No, that's stagnation. You know, well, I don't want no problem. You gonna die? Because problems come along with life. What you're telling me is you don't have the capacity to deal with problems because you're not learning how to. You think running from problems is the key, right? And so when you go to therapy, your therapist should be teaching you how to grow your capacity, how to become a stronger, better person, not a more fearful person thinking that you're protecting yourself because you just stay away from problems. Because all relationships gonna have complications.
I always say when it comes to therapy, it's gonna hurt.
I mean, it's gonna hurt real bad. If
It's
you're in
gonna
therapy
sting.
and you're smiling all the time, you don't have a good therapist.
Yeah, you didn't pick the right one.
You don't. You should leave most of your therapy sessions a little pissed off with your therapist.
A little beat up. Yeah.
Because they were honest with you. But we call them commercial therapists. Commercial therapists is just like Big Pharma. Commercial therapists are not going to give you what you need and send you on your way and let you work with those tools. They're going to treat you. They're not going to cure you. They're going to treat you, keep you coming back. They're going to affirm you when you shouldn't be affirmed.
Yep.
They gonna help you identify with your pain, and then you're gonna become your pain, and then you're gonna tell people you empowered and I'm growing. No, you're not.
No.
Because the moment you get in a relationship and that same emotion that you have not properly dealt with comes up again, you're gonna react just like an immature child. That's what's gonna happen because you never grew in capacity. You stayed the exact same. but you go into therapy. And then you'll tell the world, I'm doing the work. No, you're not. You're not doing the work.
Sounds good.
I'm doing the work.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, you talking a lot, but you're not doing the work.
Yeah.
And we will never be able to do the work until we get in a relationship. I cannot tell a person I have grown as a husband if I'm not being a husband.
And
going through the challenges that husband go through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way in the world I can say that. There's no way a woman can tell me she's growing as a wife and she's single. Oh, I'm going to be a better wife. How? You haven't put any of those things to test yet.
That's right. Just do the work.
Exactly. Because the work is the relationship. You'll know. That's the one thing about relationships. Relationships is the one thing that will identify our level of maturity and our level of selfishness.
Yeah. That's right.
And when I say maturity, I'm talking about emotional maturity, intellectual maturity.
That's right.
You know, it's gonna let you know everything, because once you really get into a relationship, the cloak and dagger is gone. You can't hide anymore after you've been exposed, because once a person's around you enough, the act is over.
Yeah.
You know, you can only fake it for so long. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to get past those stuff, man. And this type thing, most of us are only picking a type that's going to benefit us, and we're never thinking about how we're going to be a benefit to the person that we're calling our type. What value you bringing to that table? We don't like that conversation.
Yep. So when I thought about this topic and you know, putting it together, not my type, or are they? You know, every time I have a title and we have a topic that we're discussing, it never really is what it seems. It never really goes exactly how people may think it would go or should go based on the topic, based on the title, the title of the topic. But I have to say this, we got there kind of quickly, but we got there. Corey started it out the gate. She started it out the gate, and what it means and what it looks like as far as a type is concerned. And if a person is your type, it definitely has to start and initiate with you yourself to even know what that looks like, to even know what that means. It has to start with us first. So whether we feel like we found our type or we had our type and things passed, or like in Stacy's situation, sadly she lost her husband, and Jillian says she's not even sure she's even seen her type. It just gives us a moment, not just the two ladies. I'm not just picking on you all. But your points were,
Don't forget
it was
Corey.
What'd you say, Jimmy?
I said, don't forget Corey. Corey,
Don't forget Corey.
we gonna get it out of Corey what her type is. But Jillian,
last week
Corey is single.
Corey laid it out last week.
You know what I mean? She's single, so
So am I.
Chocolate drop. You can probably introduce him to Corey. I mean,
I think the age.
Who
There's
knows?
a big age gap there.
There's a big age
I
gap.
think there's an
Big
age
age
difference.
24.
The large.
Yes.
You know what? He's 24.
Yeah.
He's 24.
He's the reverse of my age. That's
Eartha Kitt did it. I'm just joking.
oh gosh.
Oh man.
Yeah, I love these discussions, you all. I really love these discussions because
I miss you, Jimmy.
Stacy and Jillian, Corey has a plethora of big brothers, and Jimmy is one.
And I am so thankful for it.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for it.
That's a blessing.
The rest of the crew of men that are a part of this family here, that's part of the RLRG family, they come hard for Miss Corey. They come
Let me tell
hard
you
for Miss
something.
Corey.
You better be glad Mark is not on here.
Oh my
No.
gosh.
Listen, I know he got a headache as soon as we started singing "Ladies First." I knew it.
Let me tell you something. I could personally hear his voice after certain comments were made. I was like, yeah, I know exactly what Mark would have said right here.
Right.
Come on, Corey. Come on.
Yeah. But I will say this to Miss Jillian and to
Stacy. Mm-hmm.
I know that you guys believe that you're in your golden years, whatever that's supposed to mean, right? Because I'm sure we're somewhere around the same age. But there is somebody out there. You just have to see that person the way he's supposed to be seen. So whatever, Jillian, your type is there. There's a guy out there that likes to do stuff, like he's adventurous, like to go outside, but you have to go do those things you say you like, and that's where you'll meet him.
I've been doing that. I don't see him yet.
Well, no. Let me give you a little secret. Let me give you a little secret. And whether you believe or not, this is what the Bible said. It says, a man that findeth a wife. It does not say a woman that's looking for a husband. So you be what a wife or a woman is supposed to be. Trust me, the man will find you.
He'll come along.
He'll find you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He'll find you, both of you all. He'll find you. The right guy will find you. Now, just make sure that you're the one you say you are, though.
This is words for every and all of us.
Yeah. And I think that's, because, our representative always show up first.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the real us show up, it's kind of like, God, no, that's not what the advertisement said. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's nothing like looking on Amazon and you reading all the reviews and then you order that thing and you get it and it's like this
Like
this thing,
what?
it wasn't scaled to size. Like, God, dog, I thought it was bigger than this, So we have to be, and this is something that I teach my clients. First, be what you say you want in somebody else. And make sure that what you want from somebody else is their responsibility to give you. See, a lot of us as broken people want somebody to heal us, and that's not their job.
That's right.
It is not a man's job to heal a woman, nor is it a woman's job to heal a man.
Oh, man, that's right.
Why are you coming into a relationship broken and didn't get yourself fixed? And if you say you care about said person, why are you adding a burden onto them knowingly?
That's right.
I know I'm jacked up, but girl, I love you.
Like, right.
Go work on you first. Why would you put that on her? You know what I'm saying? It's one thing for something to develop out of nowhere. Like for instance, you get sick. That came out of nowhere. You could, but it's another thing to come into a relationship knowing you sick and don't
knowing you sick. Yeah.
I got stage 4 cancer, but I ain't gonna say nothing. But you love me. Like you'll put somebody through that and not say anything. You know what I'm saying? I have mental health issues, but I'm not gonna say anything because that might run them off.
And so should.
Right. I'm not financially secure, but I'm not gonna say nothing. Maybe if she or he fall in love with me, they won't care. Well, why are you trying to manipulate that situation? Won't you be upfront and tell them, and let's see what happens?
Are you afraid of rejection, Jimmy?
All of us are.
But that's also selfishness.
But that is right. But here's the deal: you either get it up front, on the back end. It always hurts worse.
Yeah,
it hurts worse on the back end.
That's why I say be an open book from the gate. I mean,
there you go.
Yep.
I'm totally honest. So I'm
Tell it all.
There's nothing that a woman can say that I lied to her about. And that's not saying, okay, I'm just telling you all this so you won't expect nothing. I just want you to, to know everything so you can make the best assessment from what I actually, where I'm at right now. And so you won't say, oh, well, he promised me this. He said this is where I'm at. This is what happened.
Yeah. So, it's only fair. It's only fair to allow people to make their own decisions.
That's right.
Right.
To make their own decisions.
Because I guarantee you, everybody on this panel has been with somebody. If you had known
up
front something that they had going on, you wouldn't have made the decision.
Say that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that goes both ways.
Both ways.
Male and female. If I had known that girl, I would have never, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
But now that you're in it, your feelings are in it, you kind of like, oh man, but man, I wish I had known that up front, And so why would you take that decision away from somebody?
Right.
Because you were afraid of what the potential
rejection
outcome was going to be. Right. And see that again, that goes back to our level of maturity, the things that should be assessed in types, right? Are you an honest person? See, first of all, you've already failed. Once I find out that you manipulated the situation,
that's it.
It's a wrap.
Because manipulation and lying are in the same boat to me.
Yeah,
they are.
Trust is gone.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? I don't trust you no more. You knew that was valuable information I should have known, and you chose not to tell me because you were in fear of losing whatever it was you thought you had of value out of me.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about types, we got to be honest with ourselves. Like, what is that for me? You know what I'm saying? And whatever it is I think it is, does it really matter at the end of the day as it relates to having a healthy and thriving relationship? Yes, I want her to be attractive, but more than attractive, I want her to have common sense. I want her to be able to regulate her emotions. I want her to have a relationship with God and live by those godly principles, not just go to church. I don't care if you go to church. That don't matter to me.
Right.
Devil there every week.
Every week. That's right.
But do you live by those principles? If you live by those principles, I'm going to see evidence of it.
Yep.
I'm
And
going to
that,
see evidence
yeah,
of it.
yeah, that goes back to the following people and
Mhm.
the acting thing I was saying. You're going to see those. You know, all the people that we listen to and we hear on a daily basis, we're not going to be able to see them beyond that. But Jimmy made a valid and a great point. You know, I always say a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. You cannot say I'm an apple tree
And you producing oranges.
and oranges falling to the ground. So a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. So when someone speaks something, when they say something, there has to be something that shows and proves that.
I'm going to give you an example. Again, I told you guys I've been doing this for 21 years, right? And we have 4 women on this panel. I guarantee I know the answer to this question. If I were to ask between men and women who is more emotionally stable, what would you all say? Who has better control over their emotions, men or women?
Women.
Women.
Right. That's what I knew y'all were going to say. But there is no evidence to support that.
You know where the thought of the evidence would be? Because I didn't answer the question, not because I knew what you were thinking, but because over time I realized some things to just be true.
Right.
To just
See,
be
women mistake because you all have a lot of emotions.
There you go.
That you have control over your emotions.
No. I honestly said that because I was gonna say men, and I was like, let me say women. So I just said women.
Yeah, because you just being Corey.
Just mess with you.
Yeah.
But no, that's the truth. But I gave you all a statistic earlier about 85% of marriages are initiated by women.
Divorces.
Yeah, divorces are initiated by women. And out of that 85%, the majority of those divorces were not because of infidelity. They were not because of abuse. They were because I am bored.
I didn't quite get my way. I didn't quite. Yeah. And it's not it's not one of those things where that it's a pun at women and you were choosing the man and or whatever. But I honestly I have to say for me, I can only speak for me. Over time and paying attention, doing some reading, doing some studying, doing some self-reflection, I have to say the answer is men.
Let me ask you another question. When it comes to having conversation about patterns of behaviors of sexes, right? How often when you hear, let's say, women say men do this, do you hear men arguing?
I'm sorry.
Say again?
Men are dogs.
Again,
most men are not gonna argue that. They be like, yeah, a lot of them jokers are trash. You know what I'm saying? Because we have accepted that there's some peers in our group that have fostered that belief system. And now those of us who don't do that, we have to bear the brunt of the majority of the women thinking that we're automatically dogs because these clowns over here are dogs. You're not going to hear us, men ain't dogs. All men aren't dogs. You're not going to hear us say that. We just going to be like, we. But let us say something about certain patterns of behavior of women. Oh, we about to get all kind of little emotional conversations that are like, sweetheart, you trying to tell me in your peer group you don't have no women that do this? You do. You just don't want to admit it because y'all have this code that makes absolutely no sense.
So look, I have to say,
at all costs, stick up for each other in public.
It depends.
Corey, do you believe women are more emotionally mature than men?
Most emotionally mature
than
men?
Yes. For real.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Here's how you can tell in real life. when it comes to something tough, a tough conversation about your behavior, how do you feel and how do you respond when you hear it?
Okay. So you're asking me, or you're just
No, I'm just saying here's a litmus test, right? If you're in a relationship and the person you're in a relationship with you says to you, Corey, here's some things about you I really wish you would work on because it's not healthy for our relationship. When he says that, how does it make you feel? And what is your natural response to that?
Okay. So
No, I'm just saying these are ways that you
I
can
got you,
test
but
and see
okay.
how
So you didn't want me
mature
to
you
answer.
are
Okay.
emotionally.
I got you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they hear that thing, the first thing they want to do is defend themselves. And you could give them all kind of evidence to show the pattern of behavior.
And Jimmy, I'm glad you said people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said people. And I get your point. I get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I feel
Mm-hmm.
that women are more emotionally moved and driven. Our responses and how we react and we can come up with all kind of reasons why that would be or why that is. Right. And I'm glad you said people because, and this is not a tit for tat because y'all know I don't do that.
Right.
When you're speaking about one, you're speaking about one.
Oh,
if you're
right.
speaking about, yeah. So, because I feel the tension.
Well, I think what it is we've been conditioned to believe certain things about each other, right?
Right.
And so whether it's true or not, we become defensive when we hear it.
Right.
Right. We don't care if it has some validity.
Mm-hmm.
Because it hurts to hear that about me or my peer group. Right. Now, my thing is this, and it's a learned behavior. You have to train yourself not to emotionally respond to something that's true, that's negative about you.
Exactly. And that takes growth.
It
That
does.
takes maturing.
It takes practice.
Yeah, definitely practice.
It takes practice because
definitely does.
it's a learned behavior. You learn how to be defensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how not to be defensive. I read something one time. This is a guy. Him and his wife are relationship therapists, and when they first got married, they both weren't therapists. They were, he said he learned something when his wife would say, "Babe, I need to talk," or she would, point out something that he was doing that was harmful to the relationship. He said, this is what he learned to say before his heart met what he was saying. He said, I will take that under consideration. He said that so much. At first, he didn't really mean it. He just wanted the accusations to stop. But he said it so much until he was almost forced to actually consider what she said. He said, in the moment I started to consider what she said, I saw the validity in what she said.
Of what she was saying. Yeah.
And once he saw the validity of what she said, he then moved to phase number 2, because acknowledgement is just phase 1. Phase 2 is, reconciliation. Like, what am I going to do now? What is the resolve?
Right.
What is the solution? What is the change agent that's going to take place? Right.
Right.
Because ultimately, I should not be married to Jillian year 1, and this is my complaint in year 1. Now we 13 years in, and I have that same complaint.
Exactly.
That means Jillian don't care.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jillian shouldn't be married to me year 1 and have an issue with me, and then year 13 she got that same issue with me. Jimmy don't care.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I think as human beings, we can do that, right? What's the one thing, like, for instance, and both men and women are guilty of this. It depends on what it is, though. Tell me the truth. You don't want the truth.
Right.
You know you don't want the truth. You are going to overreact if I tell you the truth. One of the biggest things we used to do in our workshops, how many women have asked their man, how do I look in this? Do I look fat in this? And I tell guys, I say, anytime a woman asks you, do she look fat in that? Flip it back on her and say, how did you feel you looked in it? Don't try to make me answer that. You already know the answer. You just trying to see if I'm gonna affirm you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm in a lose-lose situation. Because if I say, nah, babe, you're gonna be like, well, it's tight right here. And if I say, yeah, you're gonna get offended. So how did you when you looked in the mirror, what did you think? don't put me in them crosshairs, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a lose-lose situation for us.
Yeah.
So, and like men, for instance, stop asking questions you don't really want the answer to. Because if you're wondering, you probably already know the answer. Babe, am I satisfying you? If you got to ask that question,
you know you're not.
You know what I'm saying?
He knows the answer.
So maybe the question should be, baby, is there anything I can do to
how can I
that would be more satisfactory, that would make this more enjoyable for you, blah, blah, blah. Don't set yourself up for failure. And ask what you currently doing. Is it working? Because she's gonna answer the question when you ask her the proper question.
Right.
But we'll get offended when that answer comes.
Yeah, she made a good point in that. She said how the person says it matters to how it's received also.
Yeah, that's a common story that's told. That's not always true.
No, it's not always true. But again,
in most cases, it's not true. Here's the deal. I could say to you as nicely as human possible, you know what, babe, I don't think that dress is as figure flattering as it could be. So what you trying to say? I'm trying to say. See, at that point, then I just be like, you know what? Since now you gonna get upset anyway. Girl, you know that thing too small. That's why you asked me in the first place.
But I see her point though. We got to speak to, because sometimes we got to speak to the point of the person who has done or is doing the things that we're talking about, doing the work.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Should present it as nicely as possible. But here's what I'm saying. And this is where we talk about emotional capacity.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us think we're emotionally mature and we're not, right? Because we need everything sugar-coated for it to feel good to us, for us to accept it, right? We don't care how we're presenting, but in order for us to receive it, we have 1,000 stipulations. It's going to be timing. It's going to be location. It's going to be presentation. All of these excuses come up when you got to hear something hard about yourself.
Something hard.
Yeah. When you have to hear something hard about yourself, you're going to put all kind of stipulations on that thing. So, because what you're trying to avoid is how it made you feel.
Feeling bad. Yeah.
And actually being accountable for what you're being accused of.
Right.
So it will never be a perfect way to say it to you, because those are two things you're not trying to deal with.
Yeah, just give it to me raw. Just give it to me raw.
Most people, she's so goofy. Corey's goofy.
If you give it to me raw,
when you said that, Kevin.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying you give it to me raw. Trust me. For me, I only can speak for myself. It'll force me into some type of accountability. Because one thing, if I'm in a relationship and that person that's telling me, "Hey, you falling short," I'll feel bad, but I'm feeling bad in the right way. Because I'm like, I don't want to be bad for this person,
right?
That I'm invested in. So yeah, because I don't want someone like, if I'm really doing bad and I'm not doing the best of my ability and the potential that I'm supposed to be where I need to be. Yeah, I authorize you to give me that foot.
Okay. And here's the only time where it catches me off guard, when it comes out of nowhere. Like, babe, I've been doing that for 13 years. Why you never said anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, we could have resolved this 12 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like you, just tell me up front. Tell me up front what it is I'm doing that's hurting you, and why does that hurt you? And I'm gonna tell you, we going back to this stuff, man. When you say something to me, I check myself first before I try to check you on what you said and how you said it. Because most of us, Everybody know these buzzwords. Oh, you're triggered. Okay. You're overwhelmed. Okay. When you're triggered, what does that mean?
You mad. Like that hit
Right.
you. That hit you.
It made you feel something
That made you
emotionally,
feel
right?
some kind of way. That
So
hit
you
you.
got to ask yourself, why
Why?
did that piss me off?
Why did it bother me?
Like, why did that bother me?
Because
Yeah.
it was true. Because it was true.
You see what I'm saying?
They say
But
truth hurts, right?
we're never
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
ask ourselves
Truth
that question. We're not going to ask ourselves that question.
Mhm.
We going to make it wrong that you said it because it hurt.
Mhm.
We're not going to ask ourselves, why did that just get under my skin?
Mhm.
Is that true?
Mhm.
We're not going to ask that question because the last thing we want to do is, so when we're talking about all this, the type, man, listen, if you can't be with somebody, if you're in a relationship with somebody that cannot be honest with you
That's a problem.
about you, it's a problem.
That's a problem. Yep. That's a problem.
So your type is whatever you want it to be in any given situation.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, let's bring it back. Yep, let's bring it back to that. Your type is whoever makes you feel good.
That's why types are not important. It's kind of like,
That's why
what?
types
What's your
are not
value
important.
system? Tell me
Yep.
what your value system is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How does your value system play into what you just told me you want in a man or a woman?
That's right. So yeah, what we're talking about tonight, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But of course, again, what's said and what's there is not always just to plain out what it is. Not my type, or are they? And the ground thing of this is knowing who we are before we start looking for people and saying what we want out of them and what we need from them. We have to know. So are you even your own type? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know what you need as opposed to what you like and what you feel and what you want to feel? Is important. And I want to say this because we never even really got around to this, but it's okay because I always believe these discussions go how they need to go. A part of what I was going to say tonight is, and it still can apply, don't miss on someone great because you stuck in a type. Don't miss out on someone who could be who you need because you're stuck in a type. We didn't go too deep into that, but I think everything we said resonates with that. Either way, don't miss out on what could be for you and pay attention for what's not for you.
Stacy, are you in China somewhere? Because you got
No,
sunlight.
I'm actually I'm actually in Dallas. I wish I was by the pool right now, but
I know
no,
that's
it's
a green
getting dark.
screen back
And
there. I was like, that's a nice little background back there.
right? You can borrow that sometimes.
You can let it try to drop some nuggets. Okay, wait a
Amy
minute.
Mack said, but my type makes me feel good.
Uh-huh.
That's the problem.
Avery,
That's the problem.
Avery, you were supposed to be here at 8:00.
It's those feelings. Those are the ones that'll get you.
That's the one to get you in trouble.
Them feelings, those feelings.
Relationships should be mirrors, not always affirming, but making you see yourself.
Who said that?
Charisma.
That's my girl. She hit that nail dead on the head.
Yep. Yeah.
That's exactly what relationships are. But we don't like that. That's the one mirror we gonna always cover up. If anybody knows you, it would be the person that's with you on a regular basis.
That's right.
You trying to convince the person that live with you that you somebody else that they don't ever see. Like what?
Mercy.
Girl, this is not this is not Instagram. This no. This not Facebook. This not TikTok. I see you. Them people don't. Yeah.
That is literally it. Your type should be who you see in the mirror.
There you go. But we don't like that type.
Who you see in the mirror.
That's why we always want something opposite of what we are.
Opposite. Yep. Cause Jimmy, you
Something
about
that's
to
not
open it up.
compatible and that doesn't what did you say? Compliment, right?
Yes, complimentary.
We're always looking for something that's opposite of us.
Mhm.
We wanted to. So I remember, you guys remember this, Donna and Corey. Remember, we said that most people talk about the person they desire to be, not who they really are.
Who they really are. Yep.
When
We
a
sure
guy's
did.
describing himself to a woman, he's telling that woman the larger percentage of what he said is what he desires to be. And when that woman is describing herself to you, the majority of the stuff she's saying is what she desires to be. It's not who she really is yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find that out about each other the longer we stay with each other. Because that's when you start realizing, man, this is some false advertisement going on. And you both are saying it. You both are saying
in a little time.
Yeah.
In a little time.
Like,
Don't hit you with that Timu love.
Somebody said, I will charisma. Oh, that's charisma. Talking about, I need someone who will help me grow. Charisma. We all need someone that will help us grow. But are we going to allow it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because growth is painful. Growth is painful. Growth is not easy. It's not comfortable. In order to grow, you always have to go outside of your comfort zone.
Not easy.
It's not easy at all. Sometimes it's painful. Because a lot of the stuff that we need to grow from, we don't want to face.
Don't want to see it.
I have that. It's hard though. Exactly. But it's rewarding though, charisma. It's rewarding. Yeah, it's hard. What the old folks say, nothing worth having is gonna be easy. It's not. Okay. Oh, that's charisma dropping a whole bunch of nuggets. Mm-hmm. Girl, get off Chat GPT. I'm just joking, charisma.
My baby in her growth spurt.
Yeah, that's powerful. She's putting out some nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's putting out some nuggets. Miss Jillian. Miss Jillian says she in her golden years. All right. Stacey says she is too. Stacey says she happy right now.
She sure is. I'm at peace. Let me ask this question, guys. So have you ever like overly shared with someone, right, that you're interested in, and then you realize this person, you're seeing them take on those characteristics that you didn't see initially that you mentioned you wanted in a partner, and they kind of take it and run with it, I guess, trying to mask who they really are. And
Absolutely.
Then after getting to know this person, you start to peel back the layers and you're like, wait a second, this ain't even really you. So you're perpetrating a fraud.
So here's how you know.
I don't like that.
Well, here's the deal. Let's say you and I met, right? So I'll ask you some basic questions. So Stacey, what do you like to do?
I like to travel.
You like to travel? Well, I like to travel too, Stacey. What kind of places do you like to visit?
Tropical places. I love going to the beach.
Okay. Now let me tell you about a man, Stacey. A man that's interested in you, he's gonna try to adopt some of those things you like because he wants to spend more time with you, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Because guess what? If you actually like him, you're gonna do the same thing.
Very true.
Because here's what relationships about. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, half of the stuff you want to do, I really don't want to do. But because it's you, I'm gonna do it. You see what I'm saying? That's a part of relationships, right? Now we're not talking about that. We're talking about misidentifying character traits.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? And so if you overshare, you give a person too much information before you can find out who they really are. Let me tell you a little secret. You'll never find out who a person really is if you try to rush. An old person told me this. Date a person through all 4 seasons before you make a decision. Now, why do you think they say that?
You need to see every side.
Because you need to peel back every side of that person, see every layer that person has. Because it's almost like a person, whereas people were like an onion. So there's different layers to us, right?
True. And
you know how they're going to react to certain situations.
But think about this, though. Think about this. There's something to the seasons, though.
Mm-hmm.
You are totally different
People change
in the summer than you are in the winter.
Very true.
And you're different in the spring than you were in the winter.
In the fall.
And so you see how people change, and you need to know, oh man, can I rock with that? Right? And then you have to give yourself enough time to experience the person. And I tell people to do that before you start falling in love and stuff. Everybody always likes to fall in love. Just take your time.
Take your time.
Right.
I'm enjoying spending time with you, but I ain't in love yet. I don't know enough about you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I think sometimes because we want companionship so much, we think if we overshare, we can bypass the process. There's a process that goes with this thing, right? And everything nowadays when it comes to relationship is rushed. You know, sex is rushed, marriage is rushed, and that's why everybody gets shocked within the first 6 months to a year of whatever it is they getting in. They like, crap, I didn't know that, because you ain't had time to know it. You did this within 6 months.
Slow it down.
Right, slow down.
Yeah. Or you knew it, but you thought they was your type.
Yeah, so hey.
Or you wanted them to be your type.
That's what it was. You wanted them to be your type.
You wanted them to be your type.
There you go.
You wanted to be your type.
Corey B in the house.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock, y'all. Corey on the struggle bus.
Corey out for the summer. Trust me, them teachers, boy, they a whole different animal during the summer.
Yeah,
I still have tomorrow.
It's almost over. It's almost over. Corey,
Jillian, you a teacher?
your last day? Tomorrow's your last day?
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow is, but today, the last week is always the longest.
Listen, it's
and
like a whole
that's
year.
when all the behavior and the actions and everything. It's a lot. It's
Corey,
a lot.
what grade level are you teaching?
Middle school.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
That's the good.
See everybody's face, except for Kevin.
What about you, Jillian?
Like,
high school, special needs.
Oh yeah. See, my wife is in she's an academic coach. She's in high school too. See, educators, I know all I need to know as soon as you tell me what your career field is.
What you trying to say?
I ain't trying to say nothing. I'm saying it.
Go ahead, say what you're saying. Don't dance around it.
Let me tell y'all something. You want me to tell you the people that don't follow instructions?
Yes, charisma. I wish.
The people that don't follow instructions are teachers, educators. They don't follow no instructions. Outside of work, they are just rebellious as they want to be.
That's not true. That's not true.
Oh.
No.
Corey.
It's true for me. It's
okay.
true for me 100%.
Okay. Right.
You say right, I'm going left. Listen, I ain't got time.
It's true for Jillian.
Because there might be kids to the right. I'm going
Jillian
left.
said she ain't found nobody that's her type.
Why? That's
I
because
find
she
nobody
going
that's
left?
my type.
Why, Jimmy? Because she going left?
Sure, because she going left.
She ain't coloring in the lines.
I know, right? I'm outside the line.
She all outside the lines. Your type that been next to you a whole bunch.
Really, Avery talking about read between the lines.
Read between the lines.
That is hilarious. No, I'm just joking. But guys, let me tell y'all something. My wife just got home and she got some new braids. So I need to go see what this other woman I got in my house look like.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, see if she your type.
Thank you.
I'm gonna find you a man this year. 2025 is gonna be your year.
Let's go.
Look at her face.
Listen, I appreciate everybody for joining tonight. Those on the panel, y'all, Stacy and Jillian, our newbies here. Y'all are always welcome.
Thanks for the invite.
Yes, of course. Kev, you know it. Jimmy, appreciate you jumping in. We're gonna let you go because
anytime.
All right, Corey. I know you got one more day. So we're going to all sign off from here. We don't have to stay in the backdrop. I'm going to end the stream and we all going to say good night.
All right. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Good night, ladies.